So, after Buddha enlightened at the age of 35, he was alone. Before his enlightenment, while he was meditating, pursuing to attain the enlightenment, there were 5 friends were helping, looking after him while he was meditating. It's like we are meditating and we have so many other people at the background helping us. Like in the kitchen, Sanpet is helping us. Like other monks helping to prepare and other things so that we can practice without any obstacles. So we should express our gratitude and appreciation for their help. So the Buddha had those 5 friends helping, and after austere practice, Buddha realized that this is not the path. It's taking almost my life. If I continue, I'm going to die. Then, rather than not eating at all, he started eating. And then these 5 friends thought that, oh, he has given up. He's not going to pursue towards the enlightenment. Now he's going back to home. So we are not going to give a service to someone who is not going to practice the Dhamma and towards the liberation. So they left. Because those days they had this view that in order to attain the liberation, you have to practice the austerity, extreme practices, not eating or not wearing the clothes or standing on one foot or raising one hand. Even now, you can find in India quite a few ascetics are practicing in such a way, hoping that that leads to the liberation. So such view, these 5 friends also had it. And then when the Buddha left such practices, they were disappointed. So they left the Buddha. Now here, despite his friends left him, he didn't give up his determination to practice, to find his destination to be enlightened as the Buddha. That's the same scenario that we are here practicing, learning this meditation for 5 days. Now you're going to leave the monastery soon. And not today, at least tomorrow. That doesn't mean that once you leave the monastery, you stop practicing. We have the aim to liberate ourselves as the Buddha. So we can continue practicing in such a way in our homes. So the Buddha continued his determination to practice, and then eventually at the age of 35 he became the Buddha. And after he became the Buddha, he thought that this teaching is so sublime, so subtle, and very few people would understand. And there are majority of people, they are infatuated or under the influence of greed, hatred and delusion. They are driven towards the accumulation of the material gain It's called quick results, instant getting rich, something like that. So materialistic. Then the Buddha thought that it's going to be very difficult, so rather I do not go and preach. So he thought that I'd better sit down, meditate under the tree, hold my life, and then disappear from the world. Because this is so difficult, which we have experienced within this couple of days, that meditation sounds simple but very difficult. So when he was thinking not to teach, but it happened that he was requested by the heavenly beings to reconsider. Otherwise, this hardly found the treasure of the knowledge will be disappeared without anybody's listening it. Then after that request made, then the Buddha again reconsider and surveyed the beings and realized that there are some who has a capability to understand this Dhamma, these teachings. So he decided to walk and preach. So those wise ones, we are one of them. That's why we are pursuing ourselves patiently and perseverance. We have listening and practicing, at least for these days. You are very brave, so you are one of them, the wise ones, and you didn't run away. So when the Buddha began his journey to teach, saying, Aparuta desang amata dhammam. Now whoever has got the ears, now this drum, beating this drum, let everybody hear these teachings. And that's how Buddhism started. And at first he thought of a teaching to someone who is very wise, his previous teachers, but sadly they were already died. Then he thought of these 5 friends again, those who were serving the Buddha while he was meditating before his enlightenment, and realized that these 5 monks were living in Sarnath, near Varanasi in present day. Even back then, Varanasi city was known as Varanasi. And nearby that city there is one village. Back then it was a forest called Sarnath. They were meditating there. So Buddha, with his clairvoyance, realized that they are living in that forest. Then he traveled there to teach. Now here, when the Buddha was not eating and pursuing towards the enlightenment, his body became so fragile and so thin. But after he ate some food and meditated, he got his strength and he became a fully recovered person. And he walked towards the Sarnath, spending quite a long time to see them. And when they saw this Buddha walking towards them in that forest, they thought that, look at him. After he has eaten, his body has recovered, handsome as usual. Now probably he's going on his way back home. if he comes to our area, we will not welcome him. No respect to him at all. He was a defeated one. Yeah? So then they all five decided not to welcome him and not providing any hospitalities whatsoever. But however, as he came closer and closer, somehow deep down in these five ascetics got some kind of respect. And then as he approached closely, this is again according to the scripture obviously, and this is how it's written, as he approached, all five went to help. One went to collect the alms, another went to collect the other requisites, another one prepared the seats to welcome him, and then another one prepared the water to wash his feet. And after sat down on a prepared seat, then the Buddha said to them that I am enlightened. They didn't believe. And then he said that, had I ever said that I am enlightened in the past? They said no. So, listen what I'm going to teach. Then that's how they prepared to listen. Very unwillingly, I would say. But they were just ready to listen because of the reasons that the Buddha gave. And that became the first discourse that we chanted day before yesterday in the evening, Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. The reason I am referring to this particular discourse because number one, this is his first discourse. He gave it to five ascetics. And also, this first discourse, in fact, sinks the entire his teachings, summary of his entire teachings of the 45 years. So that's why this is a beautiful discourse, and we can relate to our practice in our daily life, or even if somebody asks you what Buddha taught, then you simply go back to this discourse and you will be able to explain his true teachings. Now, this discourse begins with saying that there are two types of people looking towards the happiness. And people look their happiness in two ways, not two types, two ways. Right? There are two ways that people are seeking for the happiness. One, indulgence. Indulging with whichever ways that we could, entertaining our senses and think that this is how we should live our life. And there is even different philosophies. Even during the time of the Buddha, there was a group of a philosopher in the philosophy, and this one particular philosopher called Charavak philosophy was there. And this Charavak philosophy, again, a materialistic philosophy. You never know, do you have a life after death? So, enjoy your life. Even borrow money and feed yourself. Don't worry about after death. Just enjoy and entertain yourself whichever way you can, whatever way you possible. Don't worry about any ethics. Don't worry about whatever things. Just consider how to entertain yourself and happy. That was the first indulgence. And which we can see a lot even today. Everybody, or almost all, seeking for that sensual satisfaction and try to do everything possible to be happy by consuming things. So that wasn't new, and no, this is new to us. Now that life Buddha lived as a prince for 29 years. He had all the luxurious facilities. The scripture even says that he had the fine clothes from the Varanasi. So back then the clothes came from Varanasi, regarded as the finest of fine. Even now, not only then, even now, ladies, if you are wearing a sari, they will consider to get it from Varanasi. It's very expensive. Very, very expensive. Yeah? So even now, regarded as a fine cloth from Varanasi. And then Buddha was having that. It's like these days, like what's called the top brands, Louis Vuitton, yeah? Or Chanel, or what else? I don't know. Okay. Anyway, so those things we desire to have, and now Buddha had it and realized that this is not the path to realize the real happiness. Then he gave up. As a result, he became an ascetic. And then after that, he spent 6 years practicing all the sorts of so-called asceticism, practicing that, thinking that that leads to the happiness. You just name it, what sort of ascetic practices that you know. Buddha tried all. He even said that it went so extreme that no one had done before. And which is the reason he said in one of his discourses, saying that when he was practicing meditation, he could touch his backbone from the belly. My belly probably very thick.
So was McDonald's again.
It's made of McDonald's and pizzas. I can't even feel that there is a backbone. But he said that he could feel, he could touch his backbone from here. That thing he became such an extreme. Even not to eat for a day, it's a suffer enough, and he was not eating for many days. Right? And then further he said that when he touched the skin, he just rubbed the skin, all his hair, of the skin hair, fall down. That extreme he went. So, but he wasn't enlightened. And after tasting such an extreme, then he realized that these two ways that people normally think is the pathway to the happiness is not the true. So then he gave up both. He gave up both paths and he found this middle path. That's why Buddha's teachings is middle path. And this middle path is entire Buddha's teachings, not going into both extreme or indulgence. The Buddha said that after walking to this middle path, then I realized that, this is really amazing that once I have walked this Eightfold Path and realized the Four Noble Truths. But before he formalized this Four Noble Truths, he went back, as I said this morning. Sorry, I think I was talking in Thai this morning about this one. So while he was contemplating on that, then he able to see that why I had been doing such a way and what is the reason I'm having these problems. Right? So understood that his previous lives and cause and effects are carrying on in this samsara. And then he formalized the Four Noble Truths, which is the core Buddhist teaching that there is a suffering, a dukkha, there is a cause of a suffering, a samudaya, and there is the cessation or end of the suffering, the nirodha, and there is the path to end the suffering. And these are four noble truths: suffering, origin, and end. In other discourses, Buddha also clearly said, these are three things whether the Buddha arrives or not. It was there, it is, and it will be. Suffering was there during the time of the Buddha, it was there before that, and then even now after 2,500 years later. Suffering is still there. Because it has a cause, and this cause also always there. And then we know that the suffering can be ended. This also there. But nobody knew before the Buddha. That's why during the time of the Buddha, again, those who were practicing different ascetic practices simply to gain that liberation, but they couldn't find this way out, this key, the matrix. Nobody could find out the matrix key until the Buddha. That's why whenever other ascetics during the time of the Buddha knew that there is the Buddha, suddenly they trembled. They even want to come to see, they want to debate, and they want to hear his teachings. Back then, because they knew that someone has found. And they were even had a confusion that, is he the real Buddha? How on earth he could have attained that? So there were some form of doubts in his realization too. But after they had a discussion with him, then those doubts disappears and believed him as the Buddha. So that's why the Buddha's teachings, Buddha taught, although when we say Buddha's teachings, these three were there, are there, and will be. It's a natural truth. But what the Buddha discovered, that way out. So that's why the whole Buddha's teachings in Four Noble Truths, the last one is his discovery, the Eightfold Noble Path. And this Eightfold Noble Path is known as the Majjhima Patipada, or the middle path. Okay? Middle path. So that's why in Buddhism, when we study Buddhism, it's not about what problem you are going through. It's not about what's happening. It's not about what making you trouble. We can't escape from those sufferings as long as we are still alive. The only difference is a different level of the suffering that we're going to experience. suffering can't be ended. Can't. Because after we have eaten, we at morning, evening we're hungry. Suffering started. Nobody caused this suffering. That's ourselves. This body, which we call ourselves, is in fact causing the trouble. The suffering is there. And then we want to be handsome all the time. Once upon a time, I was a very handsome man. Wish I can be handsome as I was. So many beautiful girls were hanging around me. Wish I can have that. Like that. I was a very beautiful girl. So many boys are texting me. But now, wrinkles started. All the muscles gone. All the strength disappeared. Nobody interested on me now. I am left alone. So, another type of a suffering, that's called a sankhara dukkha. It's always changing. And this change brings suffering. We cannot deny that, whether we like it or not. Which is the reason we don't want it. That's why there is the business, multi-million business of a plastic surgery. Take the fat out from your body, make your face more beautiful than usual. You don't want to see the wrinkles and just go to the doctor, and then next day, wow, 16 years old. And these businesses established because of the desire of ourselves. But we can't escape from the suffering. Not long ago, it will come back again. So suffering is always there. We can't escape from it. Even some people think that after I die, all my suffering's gone. No! If it is only the life, then okay. Then suffering, all suffering is gone. But this is not only the life that we have. Whether you believe it or not, in Buddhism, it is not the end. Even suppose you believe in Islam, in Hinduism, in Sikhism, in Christianity, or in Judaism. It's not the end of this life. The only horror in that theistic religion is that once you die, you have to bury it for a whole year until this God comes back and say, okay, you can go to heaven. That's a long waiting. That's a very long waiting list. But that's not the end, remember. There's another birth. But in Buddhism, it's not about your body lying underneath and waiting for someone to wake you up and say, okay, now this is your turn, go to the heaven. No. And Buddhism doesn't count with this body. As soon as we die, we will be reborn somewhere in some other existence. So that's why it's not that after you die, you're finished and all suffering ended. No. Right? And if we really understand the Buddha's teachings, the Buddha's teachings is not talking about one life, even this life that we think we have, let's say 70 years. And we count this 70 years as one birth. And that is a conventional way of looking at it. But in Buddhism, if you are really practicing meditation, then you realize that each moment we are dying and we are getting rebirth. Each moment after moment. We see only the big line. But if we zoom in, this big line made of many hundreds of dots. continuously connected dots. And each dot is conditioning one to another, and that's how our life continues. So that's why when we meditate, the more we walk slowly, we see these dots more clearly. The more your mind becomes calm and aware, the better you will see that how my mind is arising and vanishing. Arising and vanishing. And it comes to the stage you don't see the arising, you will only see the vanishing. Ending. Millions of times we have died, millions of times we have born already in this length of a time. So, death is not the end of the suffering. Take away that from your mindset. Otherwise, we all can just chop ourselves and say, oh, I'm free. No, doesn't work like that. Okay? So that's why the suffering is always there in different forms. Some people may think that, oh, my family life is very troubled. It's very difficult. I have to look after my house, the electricity bill, water bill, council tax. I have to provide for children, husband and the wife and family, and I have to go to work and keep up with all the finance. Oh, very troublesome. Oh, monks are very lucky. They don't have to do anything. Oh, very good. They don't have to worry about this electricity bill. They don't have to worry about the council tax. They don't have to worry about their children. Oh, very good. Wish I can be a monk so that I don't have those problems. Only problem is different problem. You have your problem. When you become a monk, you have a monk problem. Yeah? And then suppose you haven't married. You have an unmarried problem. And when someone is married, you have a married problem. That's the only difference is the different types of a problem you are suffering, you're experiencing, but not free from suffering. Okay? So that's why the practice of the mindfulness meditation is something that gives us this skill to deal with it and then not be suffered by it. Yeah? Not be suffered by these things and ability to work with that. There was one time before the COVID. Before the COVID, I normally go up into the Scottish mountains and spend times on the hills for some days. And I had this a jacket, raincoat. I carried it every year but never used it. Never used it. I was always with me whenever I am up in the hills and camping there, away from the civilization. And there was one time I was walking up in the hills. That was the second day. So I camped one day, and then the second day I was walking up into the hills, and then I was alone. And then rain falls. Torrential rain. Right? And I had this chance to put it up. This long time carried this waterproof jacket. I put it up. Okay? Didn't work. Didn't work. I was completely shocked. But the beauty was that When I wore it, I said, yeah! You know? And then when I was walking, I was contemplating in it like, oh, what a wonderful, you know? It's like a dance with the wind. Yeah? Dance with the wind and enjoying this rain that so many years I had this fear of this rain. And finally now, the gear that I thought I had is perfect enough. It's not. Same in our life. We think that we can do it. We have what? Sometimes doesn't work. In that case, what do? Oh, okay. Just submit yourself and then done. And then other times, when problem comes, rather than shocked by those problems, you just need to learn Kung Fu. Do you know Kung Fu? Martial art? Yeah? When somebody hits from here, he will just go like that. So the hit doesn't hit me. If it comes from here, move. You don't have to resist. You just, okay, you're coming. Okay, you're coming. Okay, you're coming. This is the skill that we learn from the practice of meditation. It's coming from here. You're coming. Okay. Coming. Okay. And that's how we become strong. If you don't believe me, look at the trees. Trees have all cracks. Everywhere there are cracks. Do you know why? Simply to survive with these different types of the winds and the problems coming from all direction. And each time when there's suppose wind coming from this way, the trees goes there, as it bends towards it, sending its roots deeper underground. Right? Deeper underground. And then this way, cracks here, but root goes underneath, become stronger. So these sufferings, we must say, thank you, my suffering, made me so strong. Yeah? These sufferings actually is there to make us strong. But normally what happens, because of not understanding it, why I am having this suffering? Why? And then the suffering takes over. And we are in trouble. Because we have submitted to the suffering rather than knowing it. So that's why in the Four Noble Truths, the Buddha clearly said, suffering is there to know, not to suffer. Yeah? Suffering is there to understand, not to ignore, not to run away from it. The moment when we understand that, okay, right? So that's why Buddha's teachings is not about what am I going through. It's about how to deal with it. And that dealing is the Eightfold Noble Path. That starts from number 1. Have a right understanding of these sufferings. Do not ignore. Understand it clearly. What's happening? How it is taking place. Once you have understood it properly, rest, it will take care of itself. And no need to worry at all. So that's why, in a nutshell, Buddha's teachings is to understand things the way they are, and then we will be happy. Okay? So, we walk the middle path, not thinking of this or that, and this middle path is to cultivate the right understanding. Once we have it, then we will be enlightened. Yeah? So with this I end here for today's reflection. May you all be well and happy. So, thank you. Yeah. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Right, so we will